Today's podcast episode is sponsored by
Michael and Michelle Lassen, First State Bank Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender.
Visit us on our website at yourlakeloan.com. We want to be your home loan professionals, your lake lenders.
listeners. Thanks for tuning in for more of Season 6 with our Grow, Thrive, Inspire podcast, a podcast created to help you grow both personally and professionally, to thrive with clear goals and visions, and to inspire. So whether you're a full-time resident here at the lake, a visitor, or hope to be either in the future, we know you're going to love this episode as much as we do. So today on the show, I'm super excited to have my broker owners, Jeff Krantz and Jason Whittle, back here to discuss the real estate market and everything that's going on in the quarters that we have come. I think we're in quarter 2 now. So Jeff and Jason, thank you so much for being here again and being on the show. I can't wait to get this update and figure out what's going on.
We're excited.
Oh gosh, we're so excited to be on here. It seems like a while since we've been on here together, and I cannot believe we're stinking where we are today.
Season 6.
The traction of this thing is way more than I ever thought.
The guests that you've had on over the last 6 years, excluding Jeff and I, have been phenomenal. I mean, it's unbelievable. The quality of people you've got. We've gotten some big names. Obviously, all of our agents just do a fantastic job. The people in the community do a fantastic job. But, gosh, you've got some big people.
I listened to Bobby's this morning. Bobby Howe.
So
that was really good. But yeah,
Bobby, Dennis.
Over the years, geez, Louise, both presidents of Remax.
Yeah, that was
CEO of Remax.
How about that?
I'm making these friendships out here. I'm getting so excited.
Well, that's what I like hearing. I like hearing you get excited on it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You're
like, oh my God, we're gonna be best friends.
I know. I was like, we're besties.
And I think about how far you've come, just how much better in awe. I mean, I was in awe last time I listened to one of your podcasts. It was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how far you've come. You just do a great job, and we sure appreciate you because it brings tremendous value. I think not just to this, but just to the whole lake community. So
For
great
sure.
job.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us back on.
Yeah. So today I wanted this episode to be on the current state of the market here at Lake of the Ozarks and maybe how quarter 4 of 2022 is comparing to quarter 1 in 2023. So let's start with just a little market recap and where we're seeing the 2023 market so far.
You want me to start or you want to start?
No. I'll start.
You usually.
How about this? How about it's
the sky's falling.
more of the same yet different. It is still competitive. It's still complicated. I mean, it's a wild market because until just today, and you'll have to tell them about the game you made me play. I would have said until we did some of the research, I would have not thought we would see in the numbers what we see.
Yeah. Just reiterate what Jeff said. It's a complicated market. The lake is always a complicated market, just with all the little nuances. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You can have 2 homes that sit right next to each other. One of them's worth, they could be literally the exact same home, and one of them's worth 40% less. And that just doesn't make sense from a number standpoint or from an appraisal standpoint. But when you're in the real estate every day and you're looking at it and you understand topography and you understand dock envelopes and water depth and just all the different little weird things that Lake of the Ozarks presents. So it's always been difficult, and it just continues to be. One property will have multiple offers, and another one we've got that's sitting there. And it's not always easy to predict which one's going to sit there and which one's going to get multiple offers. So it's fun,
It is.
It feels like sometimes you're getting your teeth kicked in. I know some of our agents just, they're working really hard, and it's a struggle. But then other times it's just awesome because we're, want our need, and we get to work with these people who are finally buying the lake home that they've always wanted,
Right.
or finally getting to buy their first home that they want, and it's a fun market.
It's unique. We've definitely been exposed. Lake of the Ozarks is out there. It's everywhere. We're getting a lot of attention. We're still super reasonable comparatively. But what's interesting is public perception of what the market is not what the market is in some cases.
Right.
And we are not the keepers of information anymore. Real estate agents used to be. When I first started, we kept the information. We had the real estate, every month they generated a book, and that's where all the listings were. It's secret, and if you didn't have an agent, you couldn't see that. Now you can't get away from it because you've got Zillows and Realtor.coms and the 100 other sites sending you information as a consumer all the time, and it causes the consumer sometimes to believe that is the market, when in fact there's a whole bunch of stuff going on back here that they never see if that's all they're paying attention to.
Right.
So it's interesting to me to see that take place and to try to help our own agents understand how to explain that to their clients, so that a client that wants something doesn't miss out on an opportunity they don't even know are there.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you talk about comparing, so typically one of the ways that we normally compare any real estate here at the lake, because it tends to be a little bit seasonal, like quarter one
Right.
is certainly not going to be as busy as quarter 2 or 3,
Right.
or really 4. 4 is usually a fairly strong market as well. So when we compare numbers, we typically like to compare quarter to quarter. So we'll compare quarter 1 of 2022 to quarter 1 of 2023. If you just do the actual, honestly, it hasn't changed much from quarter 4 to quarter 1. The numbers are pretty flat. The average, like you look at those numbers and they're pretty darn flat. It's the first part of quarter 4 was kind of new territory because it was starting to slow down. Everybody thought we were going.
Well, that's about the same time that you had the interest rate changes.
Yeah, that's exactly when it was.
The threats of the interest rate changes caused one thing, and then when they actually started the change, that caused another thing.
Well, and I was going to kind of backtrack there too. So we've done a couple of these per season. I think we've done 2 or 3 in previous seasons. But what's interesting to me listening back before we recorded this one today, I was listening back at those other ones. So we had COVID hit. We get on the map, nationally. We have an influx of people coming here. So we rode that through about the end of 2021. And then you started hearing, okay, things are kind of settling maybe. Maybe there is still this bubble. Maybe there's not. I don't know what to believe. The news is out here telling us many different things. And now we're here. So where is here now?
Yeah.
Here's a good spot. It's a really good spot. We still have people who I just had a conversation with a buddy who thinks we're going off a cliff, and the reality is we're just not. And there's lots of factors, and we've talked about that over the last couple of years. But the big one is just the inventory that's out there.
Right.
It's so different than 2008, where we had thousands of lakefront homes and 1,000 condos and 1,000. There was literally thousands of residential properties on the market. Today we have 191 condos. We have 127 lakefront homes and 201 off-water homes. It may be the lowest.
Can I set this up for just a little bit?
Yeah.
Like you did this morning?
Absolutely.
How many docks are on Lake of the Ozarks?
We don't know the exact number. Oh, how many docks? There's over 60,000 docks.
60,000 docks.
Wow.
And did you hear what he just said about how many homes?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. If there are 127 lakefront homes on the market. There are 191 condos, and if you said lakefront condos, that number would change to 120. So you take those two numbers but yet there are 60,000 docks.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty
unbelievable.
interesting.
A lot of opportunities.
Lots.
There is a lot of opportunity,
Lots.
you know, and like you alluded to earlier, we are now nationally known,
Right.
if not globally known now, with just all the things that have happened in the past few years. We're still tremendous value, even though prices have gone skyrocketed. What feels like they've skyrocketed, we're still a tremendous value. We're still underpriced when you compare us to other big lakes that honestly don't have even what we offer, but they offer more than what a typical lake offers. We're still a tremendous value. So, and people are seeing that. And when they're looking, a lot of people don't even know where they want to move.
Mm-hmm.
They just know, I want to be on a lake. And so they start looking at lakes, and it's like, wow, Lake of the Ozarks is still a tremendous value.
Absolutely.
Still a tremendous value.
Well, and what's interesting to me is how many condos that you guys just said. And when I got into real estate 5 years ago, there was like 1,200 condos on the
Yeah.
market.
It's
So
changed.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's eye-opening
Really a
for
short period of
perspective.
time. Yeah.
It's crazy. If you want to just talk strictly numbers, because a lot of people, that's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Not everybody, some people fall asleep. But if you compare first quarter last year to first quarter this year, and you look at the overall market, I mean everything, lots, lands, commercial, our average price is up 4%. Now transactions are down 28%. The fact that transactions are down, that doesn't affect the consumer nearly as much
Mhm.
as average price. If average price stays up,
Well, why in the world would there be 28% less sales? What would cause that in general?
well, I mean,
Jason?
again, there's a lot of factors. Part of it is just the amount of inventory that's out there.
Correct.
It's not that there's not buyers. It's that a lot of the sellers or would-be sellers feel like they're in a spot where, well, I don't want to move because there's nothing to buy.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, if you find a really good agent, they're going to find you a house.
Absolutely.
The value in finding a great buyer's agent is not waiting for a property to come on the MLS
Mhm.
and then sending it to you. You can do that yourself.
Right.
I mean, now in today's world, a really good buyer's agent is turning over every rock and cranny in the area that you want to be at.
Hunting for that
Hunting for
property.
it, exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
We want to eat and kill it. We want to go find it. We're not waiting. We're not sitting and
Well,
waiting.
that's
Right.
what's going on behind the scenes. There's still a lot of things that are happening.
Mhm.
You said it. You said another one this morning. There's more homes at Lake of the Ozarks than there ever has been.
Ever. Think about that.
Some-
More homes
Yeah.
right
Right.
now in the market, but more homes
Mhm.
ever.
So you've got a down percentage there, but that is not, in my opinion, any kind of negative for about the Lake of the Ozarks market.
Nope, not at all. There's still opportunities. There's opportunities for sellers and there's opportunities for buyers. It's actually a much healthier
It is.
market.
Mhm.
It's
I
much
think
more
it
of
is
a
too.
quote normal, if there's ever a normal market, but it's much more of that type of market where it's
Kind of easing back into.
yeah, it's not that the buyers have all the big upper hand or the sellers have all the big upper hand. It's much more of a balanced
Even.
market.
What we think about a lot is what do those things cause an agent to feel
Right.
or a consumer to feel? And from an agent perspective, it can cause you to think negatively and feel, we hear agents say things like, well, there's no inventory.
Mhm.
What's that? It's not true.
Right.
The standing inventory is low, but there's a lot that a consumer will never see because by the time it hits the market, it's pending.
Mhm.
So they don't really see that as active possible inventory. And a lot of realtors that just live in MLS and they're not out there hunting for their buyer to find opportunities, they feel like there's no inventory either because they're looking at the same thing every day and they're missing the mark.
Mhm.
So we're talking about that a lot.
Yeah, that's a constant conversation, constant. And we it's not very fair to talk about just the overall market because the reality is Lake of the Ozarks has sub-markets, if you will. Like
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
the condo, lakefront, off water, and typically over the last couple decades, those three sub-markets have made up about a third of are about 30% of the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got about another 10% made up by land and commercial and townhomes and such. But those three things are kind of and those are the residential markets.
Correct.
And so we like to kind of break those down as well. And if you break those down, it's a little bit more of the same. Condos actually over the first quarter of this year is probably one of maybe the strongest. Transactions were only down 6%, but volume was up 3%. And because of that, the average price actually with condos is up 9%.
Oh.
Which is everybody keeps it's just a surprise to most people. It doesn't really surprise us, but they're up 9%. Lakefront, this was a little bit of a surprise. We thought this, but it really wasn't once we actually nailed down into the reason why. Lakefront transactions were actually down 29%, which is a lot. And volume was down 33%, which means the average price was actually down 5%, which was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we went back and looked at the first quarter of last year, first quarter, we had a tremendous amount of homes over $1 million that had been pending that sold during the first quarter, which it was just a tremendous amount. And we feel like that's going to shake out a little bit more. That's probably going to flatten out in the second quarter. But even still, and what's probably even a better telltale sign than the average price, if you look at the average price per square foot, it was flat. So they didn't really, probably overall house to house, didn't really lose any value. Just some smaller homes tended to sell this quarter than last year.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then off water, this was a big one too. Off water transactions were actually down 32%.
Wow.
Which we could feel that a little bit. And volume was down 32%. But when those are even, again, the average price was flat.
Right.
So again, it's not really affecting the consumer. It's not like somebody who bought last year, bought last March. It's not like all of a sudden you're underwater.
I would have, frankly, I would have expected the off-water category, if anything, to be the one that was negatively impacted.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, transactions are down, the number of sales are down, the volume of the sales are down, but the average price isn't.
Right.
It's flat, and that's what he's getting at from a consumer standpoint. That's not there. What is also interesting on each of those three, I mean, those three categories make up, like you said, for years and years. That's 80% of our market, probably. Is that what you think?
Probably 90.
Probably 90? Okay, so condos, lakefront, off water, 90% of the Lake of the Ozarks market. And you talk about how the first quarter compares in both sales and volume. That's what we just broke out. But then if you look at how the listings compare in each of those categories, condos, we've taken in the first quarter, there was 208, right?
200 new listings.
208 new listings, which is 22% less.
Wow.
I would not have been able to guess that.
I wouldn't have either.
So, you've got less inventory there. Lakefront, there's been 211 listings, which is 11% less. And off water, 302, 13% less.
Wow.
So every one of those categories, the biggest categories that we have, are down in inventory as compared to last year.
Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting is days on market is down across all three boards. All three.
That is
so they're still selling faster.
They're
That just
still selling
blows
faster,
my
which
mind.
is crazy to me. And part of that, I think, goes back to the really good agents are going out and finding these homes, hunting for them.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Because I was thinking, one thing that I'm hearing working with the agents all the time is, they're still headspace wise kind of in that fast paced 2020 like mind frame, but they have all of that buyer pool still that they've been actively working with for over, 2 years now, still trying to find something. So as properties are coming on the market or not even hitting the market yet, they're like snatching those up faster than what they're actually going active. They might not even hit the market, because they already have the buyer pool, the wants, the needs over here, and they're filling it before it even goes to the market, which to me is the biggest point why you need an agent.
Well, absolutely, and a good agent.
Yes.
But one that understands this and explains it to their client, because we've got a lot of, I don't know how many stories we've heard in this first quarter, and I feel like it's increasing. But stories like, we would sell, but we won't sell unless we find whatever we want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basing that decision, the consumers wants to do something different, but they're basing their hold on what they think the market is. If they don't have a great agent that is explaining that to them, just what you said, they're never going to know it, because you can't see that
Right.
unless you really understand it. That's why I said the market is complicated,
Mm-hmm.
because it really is. We don't see any real changes as far as inventory. I mean, physically, when you're in it every day, you generally know where a new condominium complex is going to come. You generally know what's on the horizon.
Are there any big housing projects? Are there any big condo projects? We're going to see some big multifamily, some big and which is super exciting.
It is, yeah.
It's great for the lake, but it's not going to help our residential homes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not going to ease. In fact, it's probably going to put more pressure. It's going to bring more people to the area.
Correct.
And so there's going to be more of a need for homes. And we're just not seeing that change a bunch.
Right. You compare that. I mean, just look at our area right now. How many areas can say that they have so many things happening and coming and in the works as far as commercial and multifamily and big things. So you've got all this exciting stuff happening, but you have lack of building that's probably going to, because of interest rates and
cost to build is still a big issue.
Yeah, it is.
It's still for the general contractors to find subs and to find skilled workers. I mean, that is still and that's not just here. That's across the country. It's a tough. They're in a tough spot, so that we just can't create inventory fast enough.
Mm-hmm. So with us being 4 months into this year, into 2023, we're hearing lots of things again that maybe we weren't anticipating or that are kind of shocking as far as objections are concerned. So what do you anticipate for 2023 with respect to the market and the industry? So, lots of talk about interest rates, lots of talk about, well, why do I want to sell my house and possibly downgrade over here to get a house and not know if I'm going to get a house? I mean, I'm trying to think of different objections that we're hearing a lot, but what do you guys think with the respect of the rest of this year?
So I'll talk about the interest rates first. So first and foremost, when the interest rates jumped up, it was a big shock for everybody.
Right.
I mean, when you're looking at homes and you think you're going to get something at 3%, all of a sudden you're going to have to pay 7%. Whoa, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Anybody payment driven lost. The house they thought they could buy for $200,000 went to $100,000.
Right.
Yeah, just
because they were factoring what their payment be on half. It was
not just. I mean, that psychologically is just a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
But when we really break it down, even 7% is a pretty dang good interest rate.
It is.
And so what has happened is exactly what kind of the professionals that we listen to were predicting all along, that it was just going to take a little bit for people to get used to that, because people still have to buy homes. They still want to buy homes.
I feel like it's
7%,
already settled, though.
It really has. And the reality is that rates are actually back down into the low sixes. I mean, I'm still hearing some people getting in the 5s, and there's rate buy downs for the next couple of years that you can do. You can do 2-1 buy downs, and most everyone is predicting that this rate hike is going to be temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're ever going to go back to 4. I don't know that we'll, for sure not 3. I mean, maybe we will, but most people are predicting if we can get back down into the 5s consistently, and that's what we're seeing. Even time the interest rates dip, all of a sudden, boy, activity just picks
Lenders
up.
got really creative, though. There's a lot of other programs out there, and and what we do know is that nothing's forever.
Right.
So there will be movement, and it's not going to stay the same. So.
Well, and I just think back to when I bought my first house, I was on a 12% interest rate. So for me, 6%, I'm like, sign me up. I'll take it.
That's exactly right. We just get used to something and it doesn't stay the same.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to those listeners of ours that might be a little bit on the fence or just, wanting more information, what would be maybe some comforting information you guys would suggest right now?
The lake is going nowhere but forward,
Mhm.
but up. There's so many indicators that of where we're going and all the excitement that's here. If you're out there and you want a place at the lake, make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the trigger. You can find what you want. You just have to engage a professional, up-to-date realtor,
Mm-hmm.
and you will you get as specific as you can on your criteria, and go to it.
But Jeff, I don't want to buy at the height of the market, Jeff.
Yeah, we don't. I've never heard that before.
Well, how do you respond to that?
Okay, so I tell my personal story, which is kind of crazy, but my parents bought a resort in '69.
Mm-hmm.
And 1969, everybody in their little town in Illinois said, "You're crazy. This is terrible. You're never going to make it. You can't pay $300,000 for a resort." They ran it for 12 years and sold it for 4 times what they paid. Then at home, as I sat there in their living room, I listened to them say, "Those poor people that bought that resort, they're never going to make it.
Right.
They paid way too much." They ran it for 15 years and sold it for 3 or 4 times what they bought it for.
Mm-hmm.
The moral of the story is, and today we hear things like, well, so-and-so bought in 2018. I mean, it was completely different, and I just don't want to pay at the height of the market. What is the height of the market? This thing isn't going to stop. If you don't pull the trigger, if you're thinking about it and you don't pull the trigger today, in 3 years, you're going to look back and say, "Wow, I should have bought them." There's too many positive things happening here that are not going to change.
The truth is that the best time to buy would have been 20 years ago. But the second best time to buy is today.
Yep.
I mean,
It
honestly,
is true.
You just can't time the market. And especially if you value where you spend your time, there's no better investment than Lake of the Ozarks, I feel like. Anytime you're buying lakefront, beachfront, those things real estate in general is just a fantastic investment.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't consider it an investment, at some level it's an investment. It's most people's biggest asset.
Well, I feel like a lot of people since COVID have really thrown money in that direction versus the market.
Compare it to the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah, well, compare
Right,
it.
Not
exactly.
against to the market, but just compare it
Yeah.
to the market if you're concerned about an investment. I mean,
That's exactly right.
anything you're going to get into and you think you're going to have to get out of quick is probably a big
Mm-hmm.
gamble.
Right.
But
if you're a long-term investor and you value where you're going to spend your time, you want to create memories, you've got grandkids or you've got kids and maybe you want to rent it out, maybe you want to do whatever it is. To me, and obviously we're kind of passionate about it, and we do this, is investing in real estate. And even if it's not looked at as an investment, on some level it always is.
the other thing we're really passionate about is making sure that we can try to help as many agents as we can convert, adapt, take a hold, change to what today's market is.
Because there is no such thing as a good or bad market. It's just the market.
That's
you're in.
correct.
That's exactly right.
That's correct. And your, as a realtor, their business can be great in any market.
Mm-hmm.
But it will not be great in any market if we don't adjust to that market.
Mm-hmm.
And there are changes today that 1 year ago weren't there. I mean, we frankly, as an industry, we got a little laxed.
Yeah, for sure.
It was too fast. There were too many potential. There was too many potential leads coming in. We didn't work our relationships, our sphere of influence like we should have, and that doesn't. I mean, that was me too.
Right.
So I'm not throwing any stones, but today, the agents, there's real opportunity for pros.
Yep.
The ones that are laying back, thinking that this market's going to change, are
Or
the ones
being
we're
fearful.
concerned about,
Yeah.
or being fearful, or listening to media drives a lot of things, and with consumers and different industries. And my gosh, you can't turn anything on without thinking that it's
The
fear
sky is
factor.
falling.
Right.
Watch a Weather Channel. We tried to go to Tahoe a few weeks ago, and I didn't think we were going to get there because literally I thought there was one big avalanche that was going to take out all of Tahoe, and we got there and the roads were totally clear. It was the most unbelievable fear factor driven weather channel. I was like, what is going on?
Well, to wrap this episode up, guys, what are you both most excited about for 2023?
Most excited about? I just think the opportunities are there. We have as agents, we have an unbelievable opportunity to serve our clients and provide real value that I think was there even before. If you had somebody good and was able to articulate it, but I think it was harder to articulate for most people. But I think now we've got a real opportunity to be able to show value by being a real consultant, by being able to go out there and hunt for those properties, to be able to market and expose properties, and just everything that goes into that, and making sure that as you present the property, there's a lot more value there than what most people think if somebody does a good job. And so I'm super excited about that. I'm excited that I'm actually glad the market's changed a little bit. I hate to say that, but we couldn't keep that same pace. It wasn't healthy. And so I'm just excited where the market is and the opportunities that are going to be ahead of us for the next few years.
And I'm excited about where we get to do that at.
Me too.
I tell everybody at conventions I'm thankful that I don't have any real estate experience anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because this market is really unique. And it comes with it's just like Jason was alluding to. I mean, the opportunities literally of the people you get to meet, the properties you get to represent are crazy. And I'm excited to try to make sure that our agents are adapting here and understand what the public's perception is versus what the real market is, just like we talked about. And then how do you actually explain that? I think it's a change for sure, but I think there's so many good things.
I do too.
For us here at Lake the Ozarks.
I changed my answer. You made me think of something. Sorry.
You can't.
I'm most excited. Exactly like you said, that we get to do it at the Lake of the Ozarks. I am so excited for summer. I'm ready to get up. I'm going to be on the water at 5:30. I'm going to surf for a couple hours, and then I'll be in the office at 8 a.m. And it's like, and you can do that several times throughout the week, and you don't see another boat at 6 in the morning, or maybe a couple fishermen. And I mean, you're surfing underneath the grand, wakeboarding underneath the Grand Glazed Bridge, and then I'm driving across it every day, and it's just like, I can't stinking believe
Pretty cool place.
we get to live here.
Well, I'm excited for
Pretty
the
cool.
growth, which we focused on this season too. Just everything that's coming here as well. It creates, a really big excitement level for just how many more things we're gonna
Seriously.
have
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, I couldn't thank you enough for being here, and you both do a great job with breaking things down and making it fun. Growth, Thrive, Inspire listeners, thanks for tuning in, and we have more episodes coming, so be sure to tune in on Wednesdays and connect with us on all of the platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, all of them that we're on. And keep an eye on our Facebook page too for upcoming open houses, lake events that are going on, just different things here at Lake of the Ozarks so you can be in the know. And remember to always grow, thrive, and inspire, and we'll catch you next time. And a big thank you to our sponsors, Michael and Michelle Lassen with First State Bank Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, and you can find them at yourlakeloan.com.